What's going on, everybody? American Football Network here today. And today we are bringing you our ACC quarterback rankings for the 2023 season. But before we get started, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Help me reach my goal of 850 subscribers by the end of May. Also, check out the podcast, the website, and our other channels, Prospects Baseball, College Football Truth Day, which we do with the football expert. Those links are all in the description. Also, check out our friends. Those links are also in the description, should be at the very bottom. Shout out to the Gridiron Network for making this thumbnail for us. Make sure you guys go give him a follow. I will leave his information in the description as well. But let's go ahead and get started with today's video. And today we are looking at the quarterback rankings for the ACC. So let's go ahead and look at that. So at number 14, I have Tony Muskett Jr., the quarterback for Virginia. He transferred in from Monmouth College, and he last season for them he was 143 of 223, 64.1 completion percentage, 1,997 yards, 17 touchdowns, 8 picks, and a passer rating of 157.3. So he is going to be the quarterback for Tony Elliott and this Virginia offense this upcoming season. We'll see what he can do. The quarterback battle as of right now is between Muskett and Jay Woolfolk to replace Brennan Armstrong, but I think that Muskett will win it. He threw for 5,687 yards and 51 touchdowns at Monmouth from 2020 to 2022. And Woolfolk has attempted just 43 passes over the last 2 years. So Muskett, pretty proven at the FCS level. I think that he's going to be the quarterback. And I think he's a guy that could finish in the front of the back half of this ranking list. But I think, and by the way, these rankings are projected for how I think they will finish the year, not how I would rank them right now, although I think Muskett would be in the same spot. He had a very good career in the FCS. I'm just not sure personally how that's going to translate over to the FBS and the ACC, although the ACC isn't a very good defensive conference, or at least wasn't very good last year. So moving on to number 13. As you see there, number 13 is Emmett Morehead, the sophomore from Boston College. Last season replaced the injured Phil Jurkovec. Didn't have a great year, 115 and 192, 59.9 completion percentage, 1,254 yards, 10 touchdowns, 6 picks, 125.7 passer rating. And for Morehead, he's a guy that I could see move up a little bit more. Like I said, he had to start last year due to an injury to Jurkovec. He had a very good game against NC State in which they won on the road, 330 yards and 3 touchdowns. But can he do that over a full season is the big question for him. So I have him at 13. I think there's going to be a few guys ahead of him, but I could see him finishing in that 9-10 range. Same with Muskett. At 12, I have Grant Wells, the senior from Virginia Tech. His 2022 stats, he was 196 of 332, 59% completion rate, 2,171 yards, 9 touchdowns, 9 picks, 117.5 passer rating. Grant Wells, is a guy that I think could probably end up at 13 or 14. Didn't have a great year last time, or at least last season. Did not do good at all. He only at Virginia Tech averaged 193.7 pass yards a game. So not very good from that. But he may get a push from the Baylor transfer Kyron Drones for the quarterback position, but I don't see Grant Wells doing much more than he did last year. Virginia Tech does not have very many weapons coming back or coming to them at all, recruiting-wise. And so I think Grant Wells is going to finish, 11 or 10, about as high as he can get. But I think he's Going to finish right here at 12. I could see him being passed by both the guys behind him in Morehead and Muskett. At 11, we have the A&M quarterback Haynes King, the sophomore, transferring into Georgia Tech. 2022 numbers 104 of 187, 55.6 completion, 1,220 yards, 7 touchdowns, 6 picks, a 116.4 passer rating. Is coming off an injury that ended his season last year. He transferred soon after being injured. And ultimately chose Brent Key and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. I think that he could be solid for them. I don't expect him to do too much and be just incredible like he was supposed to. Like, he was projected coming out of high school to be the next great A&M quarterback, and I just don't see that with him. But I could see him finishing 7 or 8 on this list, but I think he's probably going to finish right here around, 10 or 11, because I also just don't see Georgia Tech having very many weapons around him either to really help him do better than that. So at 10, we have Phil Jurkovec, the grad transfer from Boston College, transferred to Pitt. His 2022 stats, 147 to 247, 59.5% completion, 1,711 yards, 11 touchdowns, 8 picks, 125.9 passer rating. Jurkovec, we know last year had his season ended from injury. Like we talked about, Morehead stepped in his place. This is a guy who hasn't had very much luck with the injury. Beat out by Ian Book, transferred to Boston College. Then now from Boston College, he was just killed with the injuries. Now transfers to Pitt and trying to get a fresh start with Pat Narduzzi. And we'll see how that goes. I expect him to have a solid year. Hopefully he can stay healthy, but I don't expect a whole lot out of Phil Jurkovec this year. I just don't see Pitt with the offensive firepower to put around him to help him be high in this list. At number 9, we have Jack Plummer, the junior from Louisville, 282 of 451 last year, 62.5 completion percentage, 3,095 yards, 21 touchdowns, 9 picks, 131.6 passer rating last year for the Cal Bears. And he now reunites with his head coach from Purdue, Jeff Brom. So Plummer started out at Purdue, then to Cal, now to Louisville to reunite with Jeff Brom. And I think Plummer has a chance to finish like 6 on this list. I think Plummer can be a good quarterback. I think I'm ranking him at 9 because I think the guys in front of him, I expect to have better years. But I think Plummer could surprise us. And I think he's a solid quarterback. He's a pretty good experienced quarterback. And I'm interested to see what he can do in Louisville. At number 8, I got Mitch Griffis, the sophomore from Wake Forest, 29 of 41 last year, 70.7 completion percentage, 348 yards, 5 touchdowns, a pick, 177.4 passer rating. So not a whole lot of play time last year as he was behind Sam Hartman, but with Hartman transferring to Notre Dame. Griffis has some big shoes to fill, and we'll see how he can do. I expect Griffis to have a very good season. I think he's going to be a breakout player in the ACC, and I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. I think Wake Forest will surprise a lot of people. A lot of people count them out because, like I said, they lose Sam Hartman, but I think Griffis is going to be a solid quarterback. I think he'll be about middle of the pack in the ACC and will surprise a little bit of people. So now at 7, we have Brennan Armstrong, the senior, transferring from Virginia to NC State. 143 of 223 last year, 64.1 completion percentage, 1,997 yards, 17 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 157.3 passer rating. So with Armstrong, a terrible season for him last year. And actually, now that I look, I think I forgot to change his numbers from the previous guy. I had copy and pasted all the slides and then went through and changed them. I think I forgot to change Brennan Armstrong's stats. Let me go read his stats because those look the exact same. Yeah, I think his are different. Here we go. All right, 185 of 338, 54.7 completion percentage, 2,210 yards, 7 touchdowns, 12 picks, a passer rating of 109.4. So, yes, different numbers than what's on the screen. I apologize for that, but not a very good year for Brennan Armstrong last year, as just the year before the last year with Bronco Mendenhall, this dude led the country in pass yards, I believe. If not, he was second, but I'm pretty sure he was first, and I know he threw for over 5,000 yards. Let me see how much it was. Not quite 5,000, 4,449. So a great year for him in 21. And 22, it all fell apart with the new coach, Tony Elliott. So interested to see what he can do with Dave Doran and the NC State offense, but not a whole lot to work with. They do have a lot of production they need to replace, but we'll see what Armstrong can do there with the Wolfpack. Now, number 6, Garrett Shrader for Syracuse, the junior. In 2022, he was 205 of 317, 64.7%, 2,640 yards, 17 touchdowns, 7 picks, and a 147.9 passer rating. Garrett Shrader, a very good quarterback coming off a pretty good year last year, much better than expected. Syracuse surprised some people, and I expect some similar numbers from Shrader this year. So now we're into the top 5, and I have Tyler Van Dyke at 5 from Miami. 2022 stats, he's 160 at 253, 63.2 percentage, 1,844 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 picks, 133.6 passer rating. Tyler Van Dyke had a pretty rough year last year from what people were expected. This is a guy who was considered a dark horse for the Heisman potentially, but I think he's going to have a bounce-back year, play solid in year 2 under Cristobal, and I expect Miami to be better than they were last year, and Van Dyke to be one of the reasons for that. So number 4, I have Riley Leonard, the sophomore from Duke. 250 of 391 last year, 63.9%, 2,967 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 picks, 141.5 passer rating. This guy really caught everybody by storm, and so did Duke. Surprised a lot of people. Riley Leonard, one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC last year, probably the best quarterback in the Coastal Division last year, and I expect big things out of Riley Leonard. And he has a tough test, but if Duke could pull it off week 1 against Clemson, that would be huge for Riley Leonard and his legacy at Duke. If he can lead them to a win in that game, it's going to be a tough one for both squads. Clemson obviously traveling to Durham, and Duke playing a team that's obviously better than them in Clemson, but that'll be a fun matchup. Riley Leonard, I expect him to have a big year this year. Number 3, Jordan Travis, the senior from Florida State. So I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of crap about number 3 and number 2. But Jordan Travis, 226, 353, 64%, 3,214 yards, 24 touchdowns, 5 picks, 160.1 passer rating. The thing about Jordan Travis, and this is why I have him at number 3, yes, he got a bunch of new weapons. Yes, he does all this stuff, but he's inconsistent and he's injury prone, and that's why I have him at number 3. He's not the most consistent quarterback, but he did put up good numbers last year. I expect similar numbers, and for Florida State fans, hopefully a little bit more consistent. So at number 2, I have Cade Klubnik, the sophomore from Clemson. Again, this is not how I rank them right at this moment. This is how I think they will finish at the end of the season. Klubnik last year in limited playing time, 61 of 100, 61%, 697 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, 120.1 passer rating. Had a big game in the ACC championship and led Clemson to the win there. I think Klubnik's going to have a great year, and I think his wide receivers around them are going to step up under new offensive coordinator Garrett Riley. And at number 1, we all know who it is, Drake Maye, the sophomore, redshirt sophomore from UNC. 342 of 517, 66.2 completion percentage, 4,321 yards, 38 touchdowns, 7 picks, and a 157.9 passer rating. Drake Maye, potentially a Heisman winner here. I don't think there's any debate for this pick here at all. So yeah, that wraps up today's video. Let me know what you guys think in the description or comments down below. Check out all the stuff in the description down below. Help me reach my goal of 850 subscribers by the end of May. I appreciate all you guys watching, and I will see you next time.